This is a solution to the mini test 1.1 to 1.4. The first question was, we have to find the domain range and decide if each one of these graphs represent a function. The first one is a circle. You can see that x can be any number from about -3 to 6 to 7. So we say the domain is from here, from this point to this point. So we say x is in R and x is less than or equal to 7, greater than or equal to -3. But if you look at here, this point is not part of the graph, which corresponds to x equal to 2. So we say x cannot be equal to 2. And the range is any value from here to about here, which is going to be y has to be in R and y has to be less than or equal to 4 and greater than or equal to -6. But if you also look at here, this point is not part of the graph, which corresponds to y equal to 4. So this means that this equal sign here is not accepted, so it has to be y less than 4. The next part of the question is that, is it a function? The answer is no, because if I draw vertical lines, you can see that the graph crosses the circle at more than one point, so this is not a function. And the reason is that it fails the vertical line test. In the next graph, the domain is any x value going from left to right. So we say that x has to be in R. The range are the y values, which start from here and go to this point. So we say that y has to be in R and y has to be less than or equal to 6, because this point is 6 and this point is 3. So greater than or equal to 3. Is it a function? Again, we draw the vertical line and you can see the line crosses the graph at more than one point. So we say no, this is not a graph because it fails vertical line test. The next one is this one here. You can see that the domain are the values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all these values. And if you notice, I'm not writing x in R because R represents all the real numbers, meaning a number like 1.5 is also in R. So we cannot write x in R. We just have to include all the values, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The range is going to be all these values which are here, so it's going to be 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. And the question is it a function? The answer is no, because if you look at number 3, there are 2 arrows coming out of this. This means that number 3 corresponds to 2 different y values, so this is not a function. The next one, this, again, the domain, we have to indicate the x values. The x values are -4, 1, 2, -5, and -2. Again, the order is not important, just include all the x values. Again, we cannot say x in R because numbers like, let's say, 1.5 is not included. And the range, you just include the y values, which are 4. Again, 4, I'm not going to write it, 4, 4, and then 5. So the range is 4 and 5. Again, I'm not going to write y in R because 4.5 is not included. Is it a function? The answer is yes, because if you look at all the x values, they are unique. You don't have a repetition of x values, so this means that this is a function. In the next example, we are supposed to use the completing square to find the vertex form of this quadratic. As usual, we are going to put bracket for the first two terms, which include the x variable. Then we are going to make sure the leading coefficient is 1, so we are going to factor out negative 2 over 3. So x squared. Now 1 over 5 divided by negative 2 over 3 is the same as 1 over 5 times negative 3 over 2. You flip the second one, this becomes negative 3 over 10. So this becomes negative 3 over 10 x minus 3 over 2. Now I have to divide this coefficient by 2. So 3 over 2 divided by 2 makes it 3 over 10 times 1 over 2, because this is 2 over 1, which becomes 3 over 20. Now you have to square 3 over 20, so 3 over 20 squared becomes 9 over 400. So I'm going to add and subtract 9 over 400 from everything in the bracket. So this becomes negative 2 over 3 x squared minus 3 over 10 x plus 9 over 400 minus 9 over 400 minus 3 over 2. Remember, you always write addition first and then subtraction. Now I'm going to group the first three terms together, put a bracket around them. If you look at the first, the bracket inside the bracket, this is a complete square, so I can write this guy as negative 2 over 3 open bracket x minus 3 over 20 squared minus 9 over 400 minus 3 over 2. Now the reason is that x minus 3 over 20 squared is x squared, and then 3 over 20 squared is 9 over 400. Then 3 over 20 times x gives you 3x over 20, and then multiply by 2, you get negative 3 over 10x, which is what we are looking for. Now I'm going to distribute negative 2 over 3 inside the bracket. I get negative 2 over 3 x minus 3 over 20 squared. Negative times negative gives me positive, plus 2 over 3 times 9 over 400 minus 3 over 2. This is negative 2 over 3 x minus 3 over 20 squared. Now this 2 goes with 400, gives you 200. 9 goes with 3, gives you 3. So this is 3 over 200 minus 3 over 2. To add the fraction, I'm going to make sure that the denominators are the same, so I multiply this guy by 100 and this guy by 100. And here we get 3 over 200 minus 300 over 200, which is negative 297 over 200. So the final answer becomes negative 2 over 3 x minus 3 over 20 squared minus 297 over 200. That's the final answer. Now, if you look at this one, you can easily say that the vertex of this quadratic is 3 over 20 and negative 297 over 200. The next question is that if f of x is 2 over 3 plus 5 and g of x is 2x squared minus x plus 3, we are supposed to evaluate f of negative 6 plus g of 3. So this means I have to find f of negative 6 first. So f of negative 6 is equal to 2 over 3. I replace x with negative 6 plus 5. Negative 6 over 3 is negative 2. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4 plus 5 is 1. Now I have to find g of 3. So g of 3 is equal to 2, replace x with 3 plus 3. 3 squared is 9 times 2 is 18, minus 3 plus 3, which is going to be 18. Now, the answer is f of negative 6 plus g of 3 is 1 plus 18, which is going to give us 19. The next part, part B, says find x if f of x is 12. F of x is 12, so this means I replace f of x with 12, 2 over 3x plus 5. I have to solve this one. I move this one to the left, so I get 2 over 3x is 12 minus 5 is 7 over 1. This is the same as 2x over 3 is 7 over 1. Cross multiply, I get 2x times 1 is 2x. 7 times 3 is 21. Divide both sides by 2. And then x is 21 over 2. The next question is a word problem which says you have a rental car company which rents 348 cars at the cost of $38 per car. Now they decide to increase the rental by $5, but every time they increase the price, there are 23 less cars which are rented. We are supposed to find the number of cars rented that would maximize the revenue. We say the revenue. Oh, before we do that, we are going to use the let statement. We are going to say let n be number of times price is increased by $5. So the revenue R is number of cars rented. We know that initially the number of cars rented is 348. Every time we increase the price by 5, 23 cars, there are going to be 23 fewer cars. So 348 minus 23n. Again, if n is 0, this means that there is no price increase. There is going to be 348. If you increase it by 1, n is 1, then it's going to be 348 minus 23 times 1. So this relation is correct. Then we are going to multiply this one by the rental per car. We know that every car is rented for $38. Now if we increase the price by $5 every time, so the price of every car is going to be 38 plus 5n. If again n is 0, then the rental is $38. Now this is going to be our revenue. We are going to expand this by multiplying each term of the first bracket into the second bracket. If you simplify this one, the answer is negative 115n squared plus 866n plus 13224. Now, we have to find the coordinate of the vertex. Remember the shortcut v sub n, because n now represent x, is minus b over 2a. Minus b is negative 866 divided by 2a, 2 times negative 115. This is going to give us about 3.7. Since n represents the number of times you are going to increase the price, n has to be a positive integer. It can't be 3.7 times. So this means that it has to be rounded. Now we can round it up to 4 or round it down to 3. Now what we have to do is that we have to substitute n to be equal either 4 or 3 in this equation and find the revenue. If you do this one, you will find that for n equal to 4, r is 14,848, which is going to be larger than when n is equal to 3. So the answer becomes n is equal to 4. So we have to increase the price 4 times, meaning 38 plus 5 times 4 is going to be the new price. The new price is going to be 38 plus 5 times 4, which is 38 plus 20, which is $58. In the next problem, we have to simplify this expression including radicals. So we are going to distribute every term of the first bracket into the second bracket. Now negative 2 times 3 gives you negative 6 square root of 3. Negative 2 times negative 4 gives you plus 8 square root of 24. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times negative 4 gives you negative 20 square root of 8. Now this is negative 6 square root of 3 plus 8 square root of 24 is 4 times 6, and 8 is 4 times 2. Now square root of 4 is 2, so this becomes 16 square root of 6 plus 15 minus square root of 4 becomes 2, so it's a negative 40 square root of 2. And that's the final answer. For the next one, 3 square root of 3 divided by negative 21 square root of 6. We can write this as 3 square root of 3 divided by negative 21 square root of 2 times square root of 3. Because 2 times 3 gives you 6. So square root of 3 goes with square root of 3. 3 and negative 21 gives you negative 7. So the answer is 1 over negative 7 square root of 2. The next one is 2 square root of 54 plus 5 square root of 24 minus 4 square root of 72 plus 3 square root of 32. Again, I can write this as 2 square root of 54 is really 9 times 6 plus 5 square root of 24 is 4 times 6 minus 4 square root of 72 is really 9 times 8. So I can write 9 times, instead of 8, I'm going to write 4 times 2. Plus 3 square root of 13 is 16 times 2. So 32 is 16 times 2. Now I can bring, these numbers out of the square root. Square root of 9 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. So 6 square root of 6 plus square root of 4 is 2. 2 times 5 is 10. 10 square root of 6 minus square root of 9 is 3, square root of 4 is 2. So when they come out, it becomes 3 times 2 is 6 times the 4 that I have here. So it becomes negative 24 square root of 2 plus square root of 16 is 4. So 4 times 3 is 12. So I get 12 square root of 2. Now, if I simplify, 6 and 10 gives me 16 square root of 6, negative 24, and 12 gives me negative 12 square root of 2. And the last question was 9 minus square root of 27 over 3. I can write this one as 9 minus square root of 27 is 9 times 3 divided by 3. Square root of 9 is 3, so I get 9 minus 3 square root of 3 over 3. I can divide numerator and denominator by 3. This becomes 3, this becomes 1, and this becomes 1. So the answer is negative 3 minus square root of 3.